Hey everybody, welcome to week 10, 5, 10 of the class. And we're right in the middle of our unit on funk, and we're right in the middle of doing research to prepare for, I think, the major assignment of um, this semester. I think it's the one that people get the most out of and is the most enlightening, and that's to make a bust. So this is the second week of preparing for that, doing exercises for that. So let's talk about it and what you're going to do this week in order to get ready to launch on a sculpture. Many of you, your very first sculpture of a human bust, maybe. Some other people, maybe not. But anyways, I want it to be gratifying for you. I want it to have a good time doing it, and for it to kind of vibe on it, like, wow, people have been doing this for centuries, and here I am making a bust, right? Just like people have been doing throughout history. All right, so prep for the sculptures has to do with the very first lecture, which is called Maquettes and Busts, and I put that together to show you a wide variety of ways to segue into a piece like this, and by doing a little bit of planning. And the planning has to do with, looking at precedent, right? Looking at things that have happened before, way off in history, but also just most recently. But what have people done? Like, if I'm going to do this thing, who's done it and what did they do? Maybe do some rough sketches. I'll show you how to do thumbnail sketches, really rough ones. If you don't draw well, draw badly. It doesn't matter. That's been always my go-to. It's like, I'm not the greatest drawer in the world, but all right, I'm just going to draw badly. Nobody's going to see this. I don't care. All right, so precedent sketches, then maquettes. And maquettes are basically small models. And then finally with that, then you go, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And I'll show you how to build a larger piece. But the lecture it's less than 15 minutes, but it's pretty packed. So you might want to go through it and stop in places to really look at some of the examples and see what it is that that you like. That's the point. If you're going to do this, you're going to make some kind of a bust. What do you like? All right. So your R&D then, if we go on to the next step, which is to do research and development, is to you're going to collect at least 8 images of busts that you like. And 4 of those are going to be historical. In other words, more than 50 years old. That's just a demarcation point, more than 50, and it could go back thousands of years. But find 4 that you think are cool, right? There's something about them that you want to emulate, or that just you looked at it and you go, that's really cool. That's something that I like. As opposed to a lot of them, you go, yeah, whatever. It's an emperor, or it's, so-and-so. But then you look at one and you go, ooh, I just like the way they did that, or what they're saying with it. Okay, I want you to find 4 that do that for you. That's historically, and I want you to find 4 contemporary, which means within the last 50 years, that also do something for you. And you're going to be describing what is it why'd you choose them? It could be a word or 2, up to no more than 10 words. Tell me, why is it that you chose them? All right, so anyways, that's your R&D in part. But the other part of your R&D is to collect 5 images of 2 different human beings. And that's not quite true. You're going to collect multiple views, 5 images of at least 2 different individuals. Some of you are deciding, and you've talked to me about, well, can I do like a hybrid or some kind of, mythological character or fantasy character? And yes, absolutely. All this work we're doing the first 2 weeks is about showing you how to render, how to look at object A and then try to translate that into clay, going back and forth. And that's called rendering. So that's why we've been kind of like really trying to make it look like an eye, nose, ear, mouth, etc. But when it comes to doing your actual sculpture, gloves are off, bets are off. You get to come up with what you want. It's going to be a bust format, but it doesn't have to be a strictly human being. It can be some kind of a hybrid. And look at the lecture and you'll get a zillion ideas and you go, okay, I get it. So you're going to come up with your idea. That's what this is all about. You are going to come up with something completely unique. But I want you to think about it a little first and decide what you like and what format you want, what structure you want. Okay. All right. So with your R&D, you're going to come up with, you're going to be looking at the examples of history, but then also you're going to find two different individuals, and you're going to find a front view, 2 3/4 views, and then 2 profiles. That's 5. And if you can find from behind, it's really helpful. And in the lecture, in the demos, you'll see why it's so helpful, because you want to be able to go back and be vibing off of something. Even if you're making a totally imaginary character, you'll still want to have a zillion models around, so you're vibing on things, formats, structures, lips, maybe you want the person to have a beak or have, wolf eyes, or, I don't know, some kind of elf ears or something. I don't know, but you need to kind of have a zillion examples so you know what you're vibing off of. Okay. All right. So that's what that's about. So read that carefully. Then your clay work, that's all the researchy stuff, and that's important. But your clay work, you've already done 2. What did you do? You did your ears and your mouths last week. This week, you are doing your mouth and eyes, right? You did ears and noses last week. This week, you're going to be doing mouths and eyes. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Try to make them as real as you possibly can, realizing that you don't have to make everything real when you do your real sculpture. But in this case, for these, try to make them as real as you can. Just give it a shot. So you're going to do those 2, double scale, or, it could be 1.5 to double scale, but bigger than they should be. And then you're also going to document either 2 different maquettes or the same maquette at 2 different stages. But the idea is that you're going to show 2 different ways of grounding your piece. And I show you a bunch in the lecture about how do you ground a piece? How does it sit on the table? Why does it stand up there? And there's a zillion ways to display a piece, or to create it, to abbreviate it, etc. I'll show you 5 basic ways, and you're gonna show me in images 2 ways. And again, you can do that by making 2 distinct maquettes, photographing them, or you can do just the one, and you get to this stage and you photograph it, and then you get to a farther stage where you changed it, you ground it in a different way, and add to it, and then you photograph it there. You could do 3 or 4 if you want, but at least 2, right? You'll get it when you read it. Okay, so that's clay work for the week. So the last thing is simply a little bit of reading. And with all this going on, we've been reading all about Arneson, etc. You are also going to do a reading on Modernism, which is basically the foundation of where he came from as far as his art form. Modernism, which, when you think of abstract expressionism and Volkos and Pollock and all those guys, Duchamp, etc., those were like modernists. That was like the thing. It was like cool. And pop art and funk kind of were a little bit of a rebellion from that. It was just almost like they weren't buying it, and or they saw something else going on in culture too, and they were reflecting that, which is quite often how these art forms go. They reflect, they vibe off of and reflect directly things that are going on in culture. Anyways, so you're going to do a reading that kind of tries to break down modernism a little bit, and what was it about? What was the philosophy? And then also, so get the study guide, do the reading, and you'll ace the quiz. But that's the point of it, and I think it's useful. It's useful background and foundational information. Okay, that's it for the week.